The truth's the truth, so it don't matter.
Yeah, I learned to stay strong. Concrete in the dirt I was raised on. Know how to put in work. Grinding all day, you know it's game on. My skin is thick, yeah, it's tough. Running, yeah, we stay alive. Ain't gotta look nowhere else.
I love that intro song. Brett here with All About the Grind podcast, episode 4, Writing Your New Path with Miss Francine Juhlin, a local children's book author, which we're going to get into a little bit later, and a motivational speaker. And I think there's a lot more to unravel because I believe, well, first, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Pull it a little bit closer to you. You'll get used to it. It feels like it's right up on you. And as long as it's right there, because I want to be able to hear everything you have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. You have a great voice. This makes me sound good, so trust me, you're going to be fine. The neat thing is about 3 to 5 minutes in it, it feels awkward, and then all of a sudden we're just chit-chatting, and you forget everything. So I did notice on the back of your vehicle, Iraqi Freedom.
Yes.
So take me through that a little bit first, because I'm curious.
Well, I started out in the Navy in 1983,
Okay.
where I became an aircraft electrician.
Decided you wanted to do it from a young age, or?
I wanted to join at 17, but my mom made me wait till I was 18 because she wouldn't sign the papers.
I love it.
So I went in at 18 years old.
Okay, I stop people out. Where did you get that bug? I mean, where did you know it's? Because my son's in the Air Force right now, my middle boy. And I would say, what, Dave, helped him along?
Oh, you pushed him towards the Air Force a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah. I mean, he was going to be an FSU party guy for 1 year.
Yeah.
So,
You gave him a choice, college or Air Force, and he chose military.
yeah, or live on your own.
Yes.
Yeah, there was those 3 options because, it worked for me. The School of Hard Knocks sometimes can be your best friend.
Well, let me tell you, the military was the School of Hard Knocks.
Exactly. And I did not want him to go down the path I did because that's a rough road to walk. And there are many that fall. And that's why I love this show, because it gets to know you, not only the children's author, but there's so much more behind you. So who motivated you, or who gave you that bug to get into the military? Because, you wanted in at 17, and your mom wouldn't let you in until 18. So it wasn't your mama. She may have liked it, but she didn't want to lose her baby girl. None of us do.
No, she did not want me to go.
Yeah.
It's really a funny story. My sister and I had this friend, Neil. And Neil adopted our family because he didn't have much of a home life. And through high school, we met him playing Dungeons and Dragons, of all things. And he would come over for dinner just to get that family dinner, that family.
Was it the board game
togetherness.
version, right? Because, or do they have the video?
I'm not sure about Dungeons and Dragons.
This was,
Okay, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons, so I got questions.
This was the 70s.
Okay, it was board games.
70s,
It was board
80s.
games. Okay, all right, I forgot. My bad.
Yes.
I lost it for a minute. I've talked to a couple younger people. Well, Jamie, who you know, was our last guest.
Yeah,
And-
nowadays they do it all online, but no,
Yes.
there was no such thing as online back then.
Okay.
Well, anyways, he joined the Navy. And then after I graduated high school at 17, I was trying to go to college and work full time, and it just really wasn't working for
Been
me.
there.
And Neil said, "Why don't you join the Navy?" That's an idea. And he gave me every reason why I should, and I couldn't figure out any reason not to.
Now, okay, second episode in a row, pros and cons. Did you write them down, even at that age?
I don't think I did.
I wouldn't have either.
No.
I didn't even know how to make a pros and cons list. That's why I'm so intrigued by young people. Okay, so you had a pros and cons list.
I did.
Couldn't really come up with any cons.
No, well, the only con was I was 30 pounds overweight and I had to go on a diet. I battled my weight my whole life.
We're going to get into that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I had to lose 30 pounds, and I'm not athletic either. And I'm a little clumsy. And my mom said, "You can't join the military, you'll shoot your foot off."
Aw.
Well,
Was she a realist? Was your mother a realist?
no, she was a worrywart.
Okay.
Or she is a worrywart.
Okay.
She still is.
We love her.
Yes.
We love her.
And but she was speaking her truth because I am clumsy
Yep.
and I am not athletic.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, making it through boot camp and that run was probably the hardest thing I've done in my whole life.
Okay, so my middle boy is in South Korea. He has a beautiful young lady that he has gotten to know very well, and they're very special to each other. I don't know if it's talking or talking. I don't really understand all that.
7 stages of dating these days.
I don't know. No, I do know. So they're very special to each other. So the turkey, I mean, we're coming into Thanksgiving. The turkey run is coming of some sort. She said 5K. So I'm like texting her, and I'm old. I'm not a runner, but I'm somewhat athletic, played basketball and all those silly stuff, but I'm 54 now. So I'm texting her. I said, is that 5 miles? She goes, laugh out loud. No, that's 3 miles. I said, okay. I mean, come on. I'll throw on my shoes. I'll go run down Doctor's Lake. I'll get a figure of, I didn't make it out of my neighborhood and down the dark alley before I'm gassed and my upper chest is burning on fire.
There's a difference. Like even playing sports like we did, we played sports where it was like 3 to 5 second
bursts
of
speed
energy compared to an overall
but
endurance.
Okay, true. But basketball now, I mean, I played that what am I talking about? I was in my teens and 20s.
30 years ago.
It's the age.
Is it? So I am now on a challenge. That ticked me off because I gave her my word. I was going to run the turkey run with her, and I did not do that. I'm not a real big guy to drop my word, but I had to call her and go, maybe it's the marijuana I've smoked. I don't know. But all of a sudden, now had I run my legs weren't gassed. My muscles aren't gassed.
Just your cardio.
Pure cardio. And so I'm going to do some jump ropes, and we'll get into all that later. Back to her now. See, these are the side steps that we get onto because that irritated me. So I understand the run, and you made the time. Was it barely? Did you?
Barely.
Okay, but you made it.
I made it.
They
I
had a
made it
minimum
through
for a reason.
And then I found out I had to do it twice a year.
Mhm.
Oh,
Before you went in, did you start training for the run before you went in?
I did, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
How long is the run to get in?
The Navy was 1.5 miles. And then I joined the Army where they did 2 miles.
Wait, you joined the Navy and the Army?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that. Navy and the Army. I mean, one of them scared me. So I don't know. I do love the military. I think they do a wonderful job of developing human beings from the basis, especially those that didn't have a foundation. But you seem to have a mom and dad involved in your life.
I had 2 moms and 2 dads.
Okay.
Because my parents were married for, when I joined, probably 25 years, just not to each other.
Right.
So I had 2 full families.
Both supportive and all that?
For the most part.
I mean,
For the
it's
most
life.
part. Yeah,
This is not a get in the dirt and all.
Right.
Because it's very interesting. My mother, sometimes my mother, shut up, Dave. My wife.
Yes, my son is 70 years old.
Yes, exactly. There you go. So my wife, and that is true sometimes, let us get sick. And I mean, we're like the biggest sissies there are. I can build businesses and
Very
I
much.
fight off everything, but let me. Yes, I digress. So where was I going, Dave? See, I was
Talking about Dawn as your mother.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we're going to stay off that. I'll write it down. Maybe it'll pop up. She was talking about something.
She was talking about having 2 moms and 2 dads.
Oh, thank you. My mother's.
Again.
Okay, listen. Let's just own it. My wife's my mama.
There you go.
Let's just say it. I mean, my gosh. Okay, so my wife has a wonderful family. Her mom and dad are separated for some years. Her father just celebrated close to 30 years, if not 30 years, with his beautiful bride. And then my mother-in-law, who I adore, has celebrated coming up on 20, if not 20 plus, with her loving
I didn't
husband.
realize it was that long.
Me neither, because life flies by. And so I have two great mother-in-laws and in-laws, which is really odd. I don't argue with either. I mean, they should argue with me, but they don't. They accept me as I am, and they're great people. And it's been fun to watch that. You know, it's helped me with my kids. So I imagine that had a little bit of influence in you and relationships and
Yes.
ethics and morals. And were they upstanding pretty much business wise? And
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my stepfather, my mom's husband, my second dad,
Yeah.
is Japanese. So
okay, that's really
from
cool.
the time I was 10 years old, I grew up with that culture, which most kids in America don't get a chance to do.
No, my son's going to Japan after South Korea. He'll be there for 3 years. Interesting. I took 4 semesters of Japanese culture in college. I took African American culture and I took Japanese culture. I just picked 2 cultures. Obviously I was around African Americans, but I didn't really know the culture. And so I wanted to learn more. I mean, I'm Caucasian. So whatever. That was early on in my life. And so the Japanese culture was fascinating to me.
Oh, yeah.
And he would always show authentic sumo wrestling from Japan and this is local. I think this was FSCJ. I mean, it was a JUCO college back then. Teachers matter, man. Teachers ignited me. I mean, I had a teacher in high school. I mean, I came from a decent school, but it was sports slanted, but you could get a good education if you wanted to. I didn't want to. I just wanted to play sports, chase pretty girls. I was a dork. They weren't chasing me, so it was just more about sports. And I was not the greatest. My brother was, which is a whole nother episode on that. And it was really funny to watch how that had an impact on me when I went to Episcopal High School, which I am not from. I didn't come from money. I didn't, and so to learn, and then the education standards were so much higher, but the teachers were so involved. And I had a English teacher that was a huge impact in my life. That sort of has carried on to today, which is why I love authors. And I've always talked about, writing a book or two.
My publisher is going to be at my event.
We'll be there.
Yes.
We will be there.
I'm going to special introduction.
Yes, I would love it. But that also, so were you, and I am jumping around a little bit. So the military, how many years did you serve?
10 years active Navy, 12 years Army National Guard.
22.
22 years. Thank you so much for your service. I love my military.
It was my pleasure most of the time.
Yes. Yeah. And did you do the developed educational while you were working? Did you take advantage of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, not as much while I was working because I really didn't know what I wanted. And then we had different shifts and we deployed, and I'd start taking a class, and then the needs of the Navy, they'd change my shift. So I had a lot of false starts in college.
So you were always in the electronics of
Aircraft electrical. Aircraft electrical. But then after I got back from Iraq, I had the post 9/11 GI Bill. So I got my undergrad and I got my MBA, and I almost completed my doctoral degree, all but dissertation.
That's a lot, though. Dissertation is deep. Can you
Yes.
go back?
Don't want to.
Okay.
I would have to start over. That's the way that works.
Oh, okay.
Because I wrote 168 pages to do this research in the organization where I worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then the captain that authorized my research retired.
Okay, so you do 23 years in the military, learned a great thing, meet a lot of good people. When did the author idea, the motivational speaker came first? What came after the military? I mean, when did it start branching out into these areas?
Well, after the military, I worked for the Navy for the civil service.
Okay.
So as I was sunsetting that career,
Right.
I said, I've been an aircraft electrician my whole life. Now what? What do you do after that? And
Did you go to people, or was it only you that was processing?
It was just me,
Okay.
because I knew I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And it was a struggle to be allowed to be an aircraft electrician back in 1983
Okay, that's good. As a female.
as a female.
Yeah.
The guys didn't want me there, face
Yeah.
it, and I was put in a P3 unit, and I was one of the first women to go in this deploying squadron, which, for those of you who don't know, P3s are really good duty in the Navy because you don't have to go aboard a ship.
True.
So the guys were mad. These women are coming and taking our good duty. So I had to really work hard to be accepted.
They think
in
you're
the
getting
group.
special treatment.
Yeah, they thought I couldn't do the job, so I had to do more than they would. Where one of the guys could have asked for help, I had to do it myself to prove I could. But it made me who I am. It might have been a struggle back then, but going through that struggle gave me the sense of I could do anything I set my mind to doing.
Because you weren't always enjoyed when you walked in the morning to get coffee around the coffee pot. From that moment to grabbing tools to, hey, may I borrow your tool? I mean, people don't realize the detail of what passive aggressive resistance can be when someone's trying to just do a job. Were there those that latched on to you? I mean, men that said, I just take you for as you are.
Marty Finelli.
Tell me about him.
When I went in non-designated.
Right.
And I was allowed to go to all the different work centers and choose what I wanted to be. Nobody wanted me. And Marty Finelli.
Because you had to get him to sign off, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay.
And one day Marty Finelli said, come on, I'm going to help you. So after work, he would teach me basic electricity and electronics. He would
stay in the shop. Was he older than you?
Yes, he was older. Or we'd go out to the beach and study.
He'd sit down with you and study after hours?
We were in Diego Garcia, so there really wasn't much more to do.
Was he sweet on you?
No. And that's the thing, is everybody just assumed we had a relationship when he just saw something in me and wanted to teach me. And all I wanted to do was learn.
Wow. And how long did that go on?
Till I made E4.
Really?
When I made E4, and then I made E5 directly after that, and then I transferred out of that unit.
And you sort of had it figured out at that time, what it took to keep growing. Marty Finelli.
Marty Finelli.
Does he know? Do you think he knows what impact?
Wow, I don't even know.
This is funny. I'm glad, because I keep going.
Yeah, I'm 60 years old. He's probably 75 or 80 years old now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even know how to find him.
I actually have someone's name, Tom Seidel, with the school board, and he was a temporary, and I had lost my job as a full-time and had been put on the temporaries, and none of the temporaries wanted me. It was a mess. My first summer, and we'll get into this some other time, but it was obvious. And I finally got on electrical crew, and I got put with Tom, and Tom is this north side young man. He's older than me, so I'm 54, so he's probably in his late 60s, early 70s. He cared about his work. and he didn't get caught up in all the messes. And here I am, this hothead living on Phillips Highway, because I moved out on my own at 17, and I would go to work with Tom. I didn't have much money, and Tom would just help over and over, not just financially, but with just little short, simple wisdoms. And it made an impact on my life. You know, I worked with him for quite some years, and a lot of who I am and some of what my children are is because of, you know, the Martys and the Toms. And Tom doesn't know it. I do have Tom's number. I need to quit being a sissy, and I need
Give
to
him a call.
And I need to give him a call. And that's what all about the grind's about. Why won't this man call a man who I reverence? Every one of my kids knows his name. My bride knows his name. I've told stories about him, and yet I don't move forward with that.
Invite him to this chair.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That would be a great idea.
That would be cool. There you go. And that's how all the grind grows. That's not a bad idea. Okay, so the military, you retired there as an E?
I retired as an E5 because
Okay.
in the National Guard, you have to wait for someone to die or retire. And I was older than the other two electricians. But then I finally did make E6,
Right.
but I couldn't stay in long enough to actually get it
Right.
officially because I messed up my ankle in Iraq.
One tour? Did you do a tour?
Yeah,
a tour
one.
there? Okay.
One year.
As if
Only-
that's
yeah.
nothing.
Only
you know,
1 year,
Yeah.
only
Now
1 year.
listen, was it early on or?
2004, 2005.
Okay. Was that when they were just hauling butt away and no one knew what the heck was going on? No, that was 2000.
that was 2003.
3. Okay.
We
So you still were
relieved-
early on.
Oh yeah, we relieved the people who took the country.
Holy mackerel. The things they probably saw. Because that was
We heard a
absolute
lot.
chaos.
Gosh, yeah, we heard a lot about it.
Well, we got so far ahead of our supply system that nobody could get supplies because we were expecting serious resistance, and it was there. They just play the game they play over there, and that's why they've tattooed the Russians in the 80s. And, I mean, we can say we beat them all we want. And I know we're doing a great job, but have you heard, and this is not to get political in any which way or form, but have you heard the rumor mill that they are talking about if we declare war on the cartel in Mexico, they think they're ready. But when you go get the tier 1 guys, which are the SEALs and the young man we know, and it's a whole nother, when they start hunting you,
You're in trouble.
you're in trouble.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's a whole nother ball game. This ain't a bunch of country boys coming over. Yeehaw. I mean, these boys, you know, they dive out of airplanes from 10,000 square feet. You don't know they're there, and you don't know they're gone. And yet people,
Nope.
The right people fall.
Oh, for sure.
I saw a laser tagged not bullet. Don Marie saw it. I was drilling down on YouTube one of those crazy days. And this thing literally flies like a little, you can't really hear it. And all of a sudden it attaches to somebody's head and then shoots. It's high end. So now they can literally zone in on, target a face,
Single person.
and this thing will follow it and then attach to its head and then shoot. So nobody around it will.
Now, is it like the missiles where they have to?
No, you don't have to keep a red light on it or anything like that. No, I'm not an expert at this. This was a YouTube short. And then I went and did a little research because I don't like, especially on this, I don't like just throwing out just videos I see. So, yeah, I mean, that's
pretty neat.
That's some tech. And I
Yes.
bet you half of it came from females in the military. We have a young lady that has a space here, Miss Mary, who was in the 1960s. And so we get to brag about her as well because females in the military were not welcome in the 70s.
She was a chief.
not at all.
She was a chief, and she said she had the problems with people not respecting her when she walked into a room, and
And you
then
can't talk your way out of it. You just have to work.
she got ahead by authority. She put her foot down, and they learned to respect her.
Did you ever have to put your foot down with some fellas?
I had to throw a hissy fit just to be allowed to be an aircraft electrician. Oh,
Well, you call it a hissy fit, but you had to stand your ground.
I had it. Well, yeah, they said, "Oh, you want to be a secretary?" No. Well, what about logs and record? No.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
oh, yeah.
So they kept.
they kept trying to push me into all of these administrative positions. I said, "No, that's not what I want to do."
And you were qualified to do. How long did that take to get into the electrical side of it and not the administrative side? Because you obviously had to push back and forth.
Yeah, it was probably a year before I was even allowed to work on my own time.
Mm.
Because they put you in support duties when you're non-designated. So I worked in the tool room. So I did my 8 hours in the tool room, and then I went and worked in the electrical shop. But it took a solid year, to figure out what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and then to meet Marty Finelli and be
Yeah.
allowed to do it.
What a neat story. Those moments, and I'm not the one that comes up with this, what is it, 5 to 6 times in your life you really get that moment?
Mm-hmm.
And had you missed Marty, had I missed Tom, where would my life projection be in the path of? And so you get out of the military and you're still working for them as a civilian?
Yes.
Okay, doing basically some of the same stuff. And
I built wire harnesses.
but there's a bug going somewhere, because you get to the author side, or do you get to the motivational speaker side first?
They kind of both came
Okay.
together.
So are you taking a shower one day and go, I want to start writing books? Or did it just, where did the love come from?
Well, remember I told you about that dissertation that never got published?
Yes.
I had 168 pages of research
Okay.
on organizational psychology and organizational change. And
Like corporately?
corporate change,
Okay.
right? Corporate and industrial change. I worked in a factory as a manufacturing engineer for a while. And from that, when I was going through the turmoil, who am I ended up weighing 230 pounds. I was very unhealthy. I was taking a gallon-sized bag of medicine every day. And my lifestyle was just
Was it the mental first and then the food?
the mental caused the
Weight.
food.
Right.
It
It was your release. The food was your release.
right for my whole life. Well, it started when I was like 6, 7 years old. You'd be such a pretty girl if you just lost some weight.
Oh, so you had a little size as you were younger?
I was an 8-year-old on Weight Watchers. So yeah, it's the weight has been an issue my whole life. And it just stuck in my mind. If I just lose 20 pounds, I'd feel better. If I just lose 20 pounds, my life will be better. And
That's a rabbit hole.
oh gosh, lose 20, gain 40, lose 20, gain 30. And
What was your
yo-yo.
go-to yo-yo diet that we all chuckle
God,
about?
I've tried them all.
Oh, yeah.
The funniest one though was back in the 80s, Dexatrim and Diet Coke. Or no, it was before Diet Coke. It was Tab. Dexatrim and Tab, or No Dose and Tab.
Why did they make that pink? They probably could have sold more to fellas. I was a kid. I never drank it because, I was like, whatever. Then the 80s, pink became cool for guys. So that's a whole nother thing. So you could drop 40 and 80, or could you drop a lot of weight?
It was just always a yo-yo. I'd lose that 20 thinking it was going to make me feel good, and then it didn't, so put it back on again. Until finally my liver was shutting down, and it's like, I have to do something now. I lost 100 pounds, and I still wasn't happy. And that's when I decided I needed to change what was up here. That's when I discovered and learned that the reason I had the weight issue was because of the way I thought.
And how did you get there? Because you're working in airplane electrical, and now you've got that thought, which is more of a psychiatrist, psychologist mentality. Was it a lot of books, a lot of studying, classes, people?
Well, I knew that I was retiring within a year. So I
Gotcha.
wanted to start a business because I did not want to work corporate. I did not want to
Me
work
neither.
for a paycheck.
Yep.
So I wanted to start my own business. And I did. I sold essential oils.
I've done all that. I've sold coffee,
Oh, yeah.
Amco,
Amway.
I'm sorry, Amway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Tupperware.
Cutco, shake hands with Cutco.
Oh, I did.
I was good at that.
I love my Cutco
Absolutely.
knives. Yeah.
My wife actually was the only one that bought the whole set. She actually financed all my. We were dating, and she financed all. I mean, I was living on Phillips Highway. I was broke.
Right.
She financed all my knives. She did. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Taught me a lot. I mean, have to go into someone's house, you could go get knives anywhere. These knives, when you added them up, even back then, were what, $600-700?
Real
They-
expensive.
And we would sit in these meetings with these fancy dudes, and they were in like their mid-20s, and I'd listen to them. And back then, I mean, I'd been on my own since 17. So, I mean, I was no dummy. It just didn't add up. So I went down the rabbit hole, and I learned a lot how to present, but it was a rigged game.
I learned, I did that when I lived in Yazoo City, Mississippi, backwoods country. What I learned from that is target market matters
Mm.
because the people I was trying to sell to were not my target market. And I had no way of meeting the people who were my target market. That planted a seed. I didn't understand it then, but it planted
But you
a
knew
seed.
that client wasn't in your area.
Yes.
It didn't take you long.
No. did
How
not
long were
take
you
me
with
long.
them before? Did you then begin to look elsewhere?
I think after that, I sold Princess House Crystal.
So you like the door to
Oh,
door?
well, when I was in the military, I always had a part-time job, and it was more a social outlet. So when I got my first apartment, I sold Tupperware to fill my kitchen with the stuff I needed.
Yeah.
I go out to,
Tupperware was big then too.
oh gosh, yes. So I go out to my friends' homes and do a Tupperware party. I got free food, free drinks, and made some money. And
Hang out with some ladies.
hung out with some cool people.
Yeah.
And I got to fill my kitchen with all the cooking stuff I needed. So after I had all the Tupperware I needed, I sold Princess House Crystal. Same thing. And then after I got married, I switched to Avon. I was good at that because I figured out you could buy a bunch of what was on sale and then go out to the flea markets and cut the price of even the sale price in the catalog, and people would buy it up.
Because of the name brand.
Name brand, and it's highly consumable.
Makeup is, I mean, holy mackerel.
Makeup, powder, soap, skin so soft.
How do you know when you walk into Dillard's? No, let me go to Kohl's, because they no, not Kohl's. Where did I get them? The shirts. I got them really inexpensive. I got real excited.
Not
Belk's.
Belk's, Marshalls.
Belk's.
Okay.
When you walk into Belk's, that middle section is nothing but a bunch of ladies waiting to put makeup on your face. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's got to be 8 to 10. How do you know which counter to go to?
I don't wear makeup, so I really don't
Okay,
know.
Dave, write that down for the next for the next lady that comes in that wears makeup. So that's awesome. Your skin looks great.
Oh, thank you.
I talk to my bride all the time. I don't like a lot of makeup. Now, she does not cake it on, but in times when like she's lost a little color, I'm like, I don't like it. I like natural.
She
And-
wears very little makeup.
She really does, and she's been that way ever since I met her. I would wear very little makeup.
You probably wouldn't have been attracted to her if she wore a
No,
lot.
because my mom didn't wear a lot. That was and it's really interesting to see my boys with the young ladies that they're very interested in and how similar they are to Dawn Marie, but there are some differences. So that's pretty interesting. So you get out of there. Okay, we were getting to
The writing the
the
book.
idea of when the writing came or the speaking came? How did you even get to
Okay.
that arena?
Well, the speaking developed after I joined Toastmasters. When I worked for the Navy, I was in
What is
employees-
Toastmasters?
Toastmasters is an international program that's 100 years old, and they're broken down into small clubs where you get together and you practice communication and leadership skills.
Oh, the small groups.
Yes.
I could grow so much if I could just get used to being in small groups.
Monday night at 7.
I know.
Come
Here
on
it comes. I
out.
know. I will tell you I'll be there and it'll be a lie. Maybe not. Maybe I will grow through All About the Grind because I push myself in the uncomfortable. And Dave's been with me. We did this the other day, 18 years plus. Wow. They got 4 wows on that video. I sat there and counted. I think it might have been 5. I couldn't. You know how time flies?
Oh, yeah.
And he's just a warrior of another kind. So I just can't seem to get in a group of 3 to 5.
Oh, we're more like 20 people.
20, I might be able to hide a little bit. And then empathy. I have empathy, but sometimes when people get to be talking about the knucklehead stuff and the solution's simple, they lose me. And yet people like you, very intelligent people, can just sit there and weather it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just dump the guy and you'll be all right. And everybody's like, don't say that. Well, but it's the right answer. I don't know where that comes from. I can't take it. I like the chamber. I love the chamber. I've gotten to know a lot of people. That's how I got to know her. That's how I got to know her and some other people. Hopefully that'll come on. I'm gonna bug John here in a little bit and see if I can get him on here because not as much for the chamber, but the Clay County. Yeah, I mean the newspaper. I mean that's a major organization, and last second like you and I on that computer.
Right.
If it was fabulous. So you get into it and you start writing while you're in the class with them, or is it more speaking?
It's speaking, but you write your own speeches. And to me, speech writing was therapy.
Okay, now that I enjoy.
Speech writing was like therapy. And then I started in contests. I competed in the World Championship of Public Speaking several times.
Holy mackerel. I mean, wait a minute. That's a big leap. You're writing a paper, and now get me in between there. You had to practice a little bit, right? Or you dove right in?
Oh, well, the World Championship of Public Speaking starts in that little club with 20 people.
Oh, okay.
You win at the club level, then you go up to the area where you compete against 4 to 6 clubs. Then you go to the division area where you compete against 4 to 6 areas. Then you go up to the district level, and our district is Northeast Florida, all the way down south of Orlando, all the way to Tallahassee. I came in 3rd in a tall tales contest.
Tall tales. Telling
a story that's totally fabricated.
from off the cuff.
No, this one was well rehearsed.
Okay.
This was well rehearsed, and it was still during the pandemic, more or less.
Yeah.
So it was all online. So I had nothing but this little area in my room.
So you
as a
can't feed
stage.
off the audience.
No, and it was just me and the camera. But now we're back to live events again, so it's a whole different story.
So from there, you come in 2nd or 3rd, and then you eventually win?
Never won.
Okay, that's okay.
Never won, but it gave me the confidence to know that.
Holy mackerel! I'm a 1%er, because that is a 1%er.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then also because this voice is kind of weird, and I always felt self-conscious about my voice. And I don't know if you've noticed what my eyebrows do. I once had a coach tell me I needed to tame my eyebrows because they were distracting to an audience. And I just didn't have that confidence until I came in 3rd, and I was having people tell me, oh my God, I peed in my pants a little bit. You're so funny. You remind me of Lucille Ball. And I'm like, wow, maybe I can do this.
You know what? I can honestly tell you, Not one time have I ever noticed your eyebrows being any different
No.
than any other
Really?
human.
Nope.
But we're going to stop here because not like stop. This is a good spot because this is me. If I keep telling myself what to see, I'm going to see it.
That is true.
Yeah. And so I work really hard to find my positives because there were people in my life, however good they were and however good intent, told you I hit myself with that. However good intention they were, they caught me doing things wrong. And don't get me wrong, I busted my kids in the back of the head if need be, with love, not abuse in what I would call. Now the Copenhagen can throw.
That's exactly what I was
Hey,
thinking
Bubba, we
of.
can talk about it. I ain't scared. Are we past the limitations of it? No, we'll wait. She's 19 now.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. No, but I always tried to catch them doing things right. And in business, I didn't always live by that. I lived by fear because I was run by fear. Fear of failure, fear of this, fear of that. And that drove, that passion and that engine was always, for me, was a negative. And I had it from early age. And so it was the only engine I knew. See, Dave, they drop off because I play with them as I'm talking.
There's
I'm
whole
a pencil
nother
guy.
box.
There's a whole nother story about that. I know. So, but I always ran off of not wanting to hear the negative. And that can cause serious, I'm not like straight anxiety. I'll have to have a psychologist on here, a psychiatrist, so I'll be able to put a right verbiage to it. But it puts us in the place where we recognize all of our faults. I know everything bad about me. Just ask me. I'm my worst critic. Are you?
Not anymore. I used to be.
So how did you get out of it?
I recognize that my self-talk is just that. It's the talk coming at me. When I learn to yell at it and say, stop that, I call it boom, bad opinions of myself. I said, boom, go away.
Never
Then
heard that.
I start, because I made it up.
Okay, that's been coined now. I love it.
So when I realize that I'm getting into that negative self-talk, I tell it to go away.
But how do you realize you're getting into it?
If it's your subconscious talking to you,
Because I don't always catch it.
it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Toastmasters is not just about learning public speaking, but it's about boosting your confidence. We get evaluated for every speech we do. So when I get up there, and at first, when people were telling me the good things I did, oh no, that can't be right. They're talking,
Right.
they're saying good things about me.
Right.
But then eventually I learned how to decipher their opinions about me and how I affected them, and knowing that everybody perceived me differently.
Yeah.
I could give the same speech to 5 different audiences and get 5 completely different evaluations on it.
It's a little freedom, isn't it? Can be scary.
No, I think it's beautiful, especially with books. I read my story, and then I find out some kid connected to the meditation in the story because they see the character walks down the magic hallway, and that's self-reflection. And they said, you know what? When I walk down my magic hallway like Princess Francy did, and I see all these bad things that happen to me like Princess Francy did, I see Princess Francy at that end of the hallway, and she made it through. Maybe I can too.
Okay. So then we need to get in this book. So the name of the book is, I got a lot of pages.
Yeah, it is SparkleFeathers and Princess Francy, the Magic Library.
And when will it be debuting? Is it available now?
It is on Amazon right now, and the official book launch is December 7th in Fleming Island.
Okay. I'll be there.
Yes, you
Where
I'm
will.
gonna
in
be
Fleming? Where in Fleming Island?
At Into the Looking Glasses.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna be there. I may get you to come too.
Okay.
So I'm gonna help with cameras, some photo shoots, some video potentially. Hopefully I'm gonna have some wireless mics by then, because you can also.
I have some.
Okay,
Oh, and I forgot to plug it into my camera.
that's okay. You can have this as well. You can
Okay.
have this whole thing, and then we can edit it. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff you can do. So you start writing a book, just going the name we know. Did you have the concept in mind initially?
Not at all. I don't have children. I was scared of children.
I have children, and I'm scared of children.
Well, after fertility trouble, I
Yeah.
put a wall up. It was,
Yeah.
you know,
That was emotional. That's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot.
so I told you.
How
the
long did you
fertility-
try?
5 years.
5
Or,
years.
well, probably more than that. Yeah.
Was it a strain on the marriage?
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
he was a straight.
I like getting into this. This is the good stuff.
No. We'll leave that one alone.
I'm more than willing to, but I do, because there are people who are trying to have children and who have lost hope on that and the wall and all that. I mean, is there something you offer? Is each one just a separate journey, I guess, with the two people and how far they're willing to go? I mean, did you try multiple times?
5 years of fertility drugs, and then he cheated on me.
Okay.
And then I was looking for the father of my children,
Yeah.
who I never found. And then at 36, I lost the battle.
Okay.
But I wasn't meant to have children for a reason. Because had I had children, I never would have joined the Army and gone to Iraq, which I needed to do.
Yeah.
If I had children, I never would have moved to Florida. I would still be in Mississippi. So it was part of my life that I needed to live.
It's learning to accept life on life's terms.
That's it.
And really being able to go with the flow. The easiest way I tell my kids, I'm a big analogy guy. I think I wear people out with it, but it's the only way I know how to speak. It's me. I always tell them, I said, listen, they love the beach, and we always spend a lot of time out there. But rip currents, when a rip current starts, you can paddle to the shore all you want. I don't care how strong of a swimmer you are. 90% of them, 95,
You're not going to get there.
you're not going to get there. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to float out, let it take you out deep, swim even with a short. This is good for y'all if you ever remember this, because I have been caught in currents, and it works. You take it all the way out. It's scary as can be because you're going with the flow. You have no control. And then you get out past the shoreline, and whenever it breaks, and you swim parallel to the shore, and then you can come back in. Life and nature are so similar and have so many lessons to teach us. And you get in trouble in business, in life, in relationships, and children, finances. Go with it. Watch what happens. Because the sooner I realize I'm not in control of any of this, and I'm just a little peon that's just one little speck that's on this earth, then my decisions become a lot easier and a lot less stressful.
What really changed for me was when I realized that we don't make mistakes, we learn things. And that freed me up to stop overthinking everything and just do it. And then if it's not right, okay, try again. So in the books, I did not set out to be a children's book author. I took my dissertation and my experience going through personal change.
What was the dissertation on?
Organizational change.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So
Forgot that.
I went through all of this personal change. Oh, we never did clarify how I ended up doing this. When I decided to start this business, I hired an holistic health coach.
This was the 1 year you were preparing.
The 1 year I was preparing. I realized, and actually my husband told me, you lost 30 pounds, but you still weigh 200 pounds. Nobody wants to buy diet stuff from you. That was a hard reality. because I felt good. Woohoo! I lost 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired a holistic health coach. Plus, my liver was shutting down and I was very unhealthy and I had this full body rash.
Right.
I needed to do something. But then I also hired a business coach. I wasn't ready for the business coach. But what I did learn from her is I needed to meditate. And that changed my whole life.
Is it just the meditation or is it they just getting away from everything?
Both.
Both.
Like, I was really unhappy, and I go home and I yell at the dogs, leave me alone. I just want a glass of wine, leave me alone. Well, after I started learning from her and her husband that I needed to get out in nature. I needed to play with the dogs. That's when my whole attitude started to change. Instead of saying, just leave me alone, I'm tired, I just want to relax, I went out and played. And that just changed my whole attitude and my whole energy.
Is that manifestation?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
It is.
It's sort of funny how this keeps coming up.
Every episode.
And how often do I talk about it?
All the time.
I mean, you take, I don't care, sports, whatever, but that Ron Zook thing, that's why I sent it to you.
Yep.
We're going to learn how to throw that up. This was years ago. I mean, everybody hated him, and it's not about the Gators. It's just, I know that story. And I mean, he was going to be fired. It was obvious he was going to be fired. He was playing FSU, who was ranked number 8th in the country at the time. This was whatever year I had it, but
2002, I think.
2004.
Yep.
I think it was 2004. Thank you. 3, 4, and Florida was not doing well, as we have for decades. But whatever, that's a whole other story. And he somehow got this team to play together and upset the number 8 team. And I have a picture of him. I have the newspaper clipping of him leaving on the shoulders of the men.
Getting carried off the field.
Well, it wasn't that caught my attention. It'll take us back to business. It was the face up, and he had his eyes closed, and he didn't hear any of these people.
No.
It was that moment of, I'm going out the right way. And when you hear Napier the other day about his men, where his voice is cracking, and the passion in that'll draw you to tears, because this guy, he had a vision, whether it works or not, whether the book was successful or not. She had a path and a vision. And there's a scary part jumping from okay, I'm going to do it. But you sort of eased into it. Your preparation is fabulous. I say we're going to do a podcast, and 10 minutes before she gets here, we don't have hearing in here. We're two knuckleheads in here figuring it out. But she prepares.
No, I was just a knucklehead figuring it out step by step.
I think we do that. Okay, so I guess it is the same thing.
Same thing. Because I developed the 6-step process of personal change. And all I did was reimagine what I learned in the industrial setting. 6 Sigma. It's a quality program in the industrial setting, and it goes into the corporate world.
Oh, I know it well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know like all the details, so share it. No, if there's things to share.
Well, what I did is I reimagined it. The first thing you do is you figure out the root cause. Well, for me, losing the 20 pounds, the weight wasn't the root cause. I had to figure out what was causing. And I told you about my aunt saying, you'd be a pretty girl if you just lost some weight.
Yeah.
Man, that took a lot of meditation and work and journaling.
Did you have a spiritual side to you at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Keep going.
Well,
just at the time.
Yeah. It's grown.
Sure.
But I had to realize that it was the way, when I say it was the way I was raised, I'm not blaming my parents.
No, I get it.
Because all parents, you just do the best you can with the knowledge you have.
Yep.
And back in the day, that's what they knew. Well,
spare the rod, spoil the child.
I have my whole podcast, Parents Talk, about breaking the cycle of negative programming.
Is that on
children.
YouTube?
It is. It's on YouTube.
Okay, say the name again.
Parents Talk. Francine Juhlin, Parents Talk on YouTube.
I like that.
And it's breaking that cycle. It's what you tell your kids. Episode 1.
Yes.
Episode 1, Joanne's mother bullied her about acne. And it took her till she was 60 years old to get over that. Parents need to realize that you might mean well, but that's going to stick with your kids for a very long time.
How many times have you heard this? Just, it's so long ago. Why do you want to talk about it? Let it go.
Yes.
And I keep saying, because it's never been corrected and we keep duplicating it, maybe in different scenarios, but there's a gap in my life. Why do I have to let it go? It doesn't mean that I'm crippled in life, but I've heard that a million times, and I won't.
Well, if you let it,
I can't.
You don't let it go. You just push it under the rug,
Right.
Until you pull it out and process it and figure out the root cause. Nothing's ever going to change.
No. And they mean so well.
They do.
They absolutely do. And there was love in a lot that was done, but there was gaps because children want acceptance. They want love. They want protection. And if you get someone who's unprotected as a child, they are going to learn coping skills. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily the most healthy.
No, the coping skills of disordered eating.
Controlled chaos was my greatest friend.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was my smoke screen. I could get things done in there. Mm-hmm. I was very comfortable in it. Dave's put me a long time, from bar fights to knucklehead stuff, and also in negotiations in business. Controlled chaos can be a very powerful tool, but I wielded it in an ugly way as a young man. I had no idea what I was doing. It was a tool I didn't know how to use, but it was a tool I was around.
But it was part of your learning process.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a mistake.
No.
You needed to learn that lesson.
Every bit of them, every one of them. Mm-hmm. So you start learning lessons, and when does those lessons begin to point towards a children's book?
Oh, well, first I took the 6-step process of personal change, and I wrote my first book. And of course, all that negative self-talk, this is crap, that no one's going to read it. Not many people have.
Sure.
But
what's the name of the book?
The book is How to Start Your Own Personal Change Process, even if you don't know where to start.
Yep.
And at that time, I was selling essential oils. So in the stories I told in the book, I peppered in the use of essential oils and how they help me. Because the essential oils help me reach the meditated state. They help me forgive myself. They...
because of the aromas?
The aromatherapy is very real.
Huh.
And I'll tell you, there's one that I call a grumpy old man juice. It's called Cheer, Cheer. And that was my introduction to essential oils. Well, when I first smelled it, and I heard about it for the first time at Finally Friday.
Right.
And some lady was giving a shout out to Janet Peterson, saying, I bought this oil for you, and it worked. I had a car full of whining kids, and I put this oil on the air conditioning vent, and everyone was happy. I thought,
really?
Yeah. I thought, well, I'm not happy. Let me get some of this oil. But, I have this little scientific mind.
Right.
So I was going to test it out on someone else to make sure it wasn't just the placebo effect on me. So I put some on the fan at work. My coworkers were grumpy old men, especially in the morning before they got there. Don't talk to me until I've had my first cup of coffee, right? So I put some on the fan, greeted them at the door. Don't talk to me until I've had my first cup of coffee. While the coffee was brewing, they started giggling.
Really?
Really. Okay, there's something to this.
Huh.
And I started researching and learning and figuring all that out. And essential oils is what led me on this path of self-discovery.
Right.
to change. Well, that first book was written. And then Charlie runs this soul travel class, which is a live meditation class. And in that class, I met this kooky character called SparkleFeathers. And SparkleFeathers told me that I had this mission that I needed to go on, and I needed to teach the children that they're perfect just the way they are, that it's not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside.
What if they're little turds, though?
They're little turds because they don't feel confident in their own skin. So they project. If they felt confident, even bullies aren't confident.
True.
They act as bullies to overcompensate for not being confident. So SparkleFeathers told me that I had this mission. And then through a series of meditations after that, this book was downloaded to me.
So Sparkles came to you.
Sparkles came to me in a meditation, SparkleFeathers.
I mean, did he actually have a physical?
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
He was the cross.
I don't understand it. That's pretty cool.
He was a cross between, well, because I remember laying there in this meditation, what am I looking at? And the best way to describe it is he was the cross between a Lhasa Apso and a penguin.
Okay.
With Phyllis Diller's hair. And you young people, Google Phyllis Diller and you'll see what I'm talking about if you don't know who she is.
This is where we're going to test what we've been practicing. So while we're talking, he'll be Googling Phyllis Dillis.
Phyllis Diller.
Now, Dave,
Diller.
hang on, Dave.
Phyllis
Did you
Diller.
change the camera to us camera only?
Yeah, it's been there.
Okay. And see, you don't have to look. Once he sees
Okay.
it, then he'll tell us, and we'll be able.
okay.
And then he'll be able to show it on the screen as well. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, she's a comedian from the 60s, 70s.
Okay.
Phyllis Diller's hair. Phyllis Diller's
Diller.
hair.
Okay.
So, anyways.
Is this a big creature?
You never seen Phyllis Diller?
No,
Well,
I'm asking about
no,
Dave.
the
We're on
Sparkle-
Sparkles here, Bubba.
SparkleFeathers is cute and
SparkleFeathers.
cuddly. He's cute and cuddly.
Okay.
The plush doll is coming soon.
Okay,
But-
that name works.
Yes. I didn't write the
Let's
children's
sell
book.
it in here.
But okay, I'm good with that. But I didn't write the children's book yet. What I did is I took that first self-help book and I turned it into a fairy tale. And now I have the young adults reading it.
And so they walk through a hallway.
Well, this book is a little different. The hallways for the kids.
Okay.
The fairy tale that I wrote is the 6-step process of personal change, and I put it in a retreat where the kids are in this retreat and going through the meditation. They're going through the self-reflection. They're learning how to just be in the moment. They're
Right.
dancing and having fun.
Right.
And that's that. Then, in another meditation, I was told to concentrate on the younger kids, because when is it that children start wanting to be like everyone else?
6 to 8.
Middle school.
Middle
I was
school,
thinking
definitely.
middle
Okay.
school,
I would
Yeah.
follow that.
So I want to catch them before they get to middle school.
When did I say I wanted to start going back and coaching baseball? 12 to 14. Because that's when they're most impressionable, and yet they have very well developed skills.
Mm-hmm.
So this book is written for that age group. I'm sorry.
First through fifth.
First through
First
fifth.
through fifth grade, because once they get to the 6th grade,
Yeah.
they already have all of this programming in them.
So if you can get to them in the first grade, then you get 5 years worth of giving their mind an opportunity to look at other options, another way of seeing life, and
Learning how to meditate. I have a children's program in my website called the Confidence Club for Kids, and it's
what's the website?
personalchangewarriors.com. And in the Confidence Club for Kids, it starts with meditation. I have guided meditations for children. and Princess Francy. I dress up as Princess Francy.
Right.
Princess Francy does readings. I went and got a video made of me picking out Princess Francy picked out her glasses.
So fictional character.
Princess Francy is the main character, SparkleFeathers and Princess
Gotcha.
Francy.
Okay.
Princess Francy was my inner child.
Okay.
So I dress up as Princess Francy, tail and all, and I read to the kids. And I picked out my glasses to show.
So can next time you come, can Princess Francie come
Absolutely.
and not you?
Yes.
And we get to spend time with her?
Sure.
Because I got questions for her and Sparkles.
Okay.
Feathers.
When I get that doll, I'll come back.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I like that. Dave, that's a home run.
Yeah.
Sitting here talking to SparkleFeathers and Princess
Francy.
Francine.
There's a picture of Phyllis Diller up there for you, Brett.
Okay, and is it showing
Okay.
on the?
Now,
Okay.
okay. Now look at SparkleFeathers' hair.
Okay. Oh, it is. Okay. It is. Okay, so who's the little
That's Princess Francy.
yes. Who's the animal to the right of her?
That.
No, to the right of her.
That.
Yeah.
That's Lily the lemur.
Okay. It did look like a lemur.
Yeah. In the magic library. Whoops.
Oh, you're okay. Just set it on the box and that way it can be seen. Yep.
Okay. In the library, you think the library is a book, a place of books?
Right.
No, the library is the brain.
Right.
So when Princess Francy goes through this magic hallway and she sees how she got the scar that made her feel all, self-conscious, and she sees herself sitting on a tack in the 3rd grade and all the kids laughed at her. And then she saw her mom yelling at her to clean up her messy bedroom. And then there's this big, beautiful door, and she walks through it, and it's her messy bedroom. But what it really is, it's her brain.
Messy brain.
Brain before meditation. There's all the crumbled up papers and the dust and the cobwebs. Well, SparkleFeathers brings in all the magic forest creatures. So Lily the lemur has a magic vacuum, and all the squirrels go by with their tails and they're dusting, and they clean it up. And then Princess Francy sits in her chair, and then the book comes right down, it opens up, and tells her exactly what she needs to know. Just like when I was in meditation, I met SparkleFeathers, and SparkleFeathers told me what I needed to know.
Wow. And you knew the name was SparkleFeathers.
I did.
Wow. Did people think you were crazy?
Absolutely.
I know. Because that's wild.
But I went back. This was at Charlie's group.
Yeah.
Okay. So we all talked about our experiences after the meditation.
Now, were you taking mushrooms at all?
No.
Okay. Just
No.
want to clarify.
Don't even drink.
Okay.
Don't even drink.
Okay.
So I went back when the young adult book came out,
Right.
and everybody loved it. And then when the children's book came out, I went back again and really got deep into the story again with this group. So they watched it from the first time I met SparkleFeathers all the way through this progression of how he came to life.
Now, is SparkleFeathers spiritual based, would you say?
It depends on your definition of spiritual.
I know. That's
a deep subject.
I know.
Because when most people think spiritual, they think religion. And it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with
I 100
religion
agree.
at all.
I think religion is some of the devil's greatest handiwork.
Hmm. But when you think of spiritual as in my inner child is a spirit within me,
Yeah.
and she guides me a lot. And yes, SparkleFeathers is spiritual. And this took a lot of thought, wondering why in this meditation, all I could think of was Phyllis Diller's hair. Because the spirits speaking to me are speaking in what they know. And they were on this earth in the 60s and 70s.
So are they past humans, or are they? Do we even know?
I believe they are past humans.
Gotcha.
I believe that you have this big old huge spirit group,
Right.
and you make all these plans to come to this earth, and you all make these agreements. Like, we made this agreement before we were ever born that we would come and talk today.
We did.
We did. And
I don't remember.
no, I don't either, but I know we did.
Okay.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here talking.
Okay.
And then my dad, he and I made this agreement. We have been in past lives together. And we made this agreement that we would come down into this life. He would be my dad and I would be his daughter. Well, now that he's passed, he's back there.
Can he come back
Cheering me
while
on.
you're here?
He could.
That's pretty interesting. I've never really gotten into reincarnation, so I don't really understand it.
I don't understand either. This is just things that I've learned in meditation.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're all fabricated stories or not. I want to believe they're true because it's beautiful.
Yeah. So all the book has come basically was just came down through the meditation.
Yes.
You basically had it. You sat down and was able to type it out.
Yep.
Wow.
I'll be honest though. I did use ChatGPT a little bit. I'd write a paragraph and say, "Make this rhyme for me."
That's interesting how the AI world's gonna help and hurt, and because I looked into there are some things I would like to write a book on. I just don't know that. I mean, I think I could make it a 300-page book, and you lose people unless you really are good at what you do. Like your book, is it children based first? So how many pages is it?
60.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big book for a child.
Well, there's 12 pages of illustrations too.
There you go.
This
So who, local illustrator?
No.
Okay.
Dakota Winstead. I found him through my publisher. He is so talented.
Wow. And you wrote it all out. Do editors, do they do a lot of the catching the periods and the commas and the thank goodness, because I was just yes. I did have, mine was alcoholism, and that's sort of where a lot of the All About the Grind came from. And I always had an idea of rock bottom was the title of the you all right, Dave? I got that out real quick. Okay, you're good. All the headaches that came along with it, all the pain, the victories of coming out of it, who walked me through it. And it's a neat story. And then the lessons that I learned through it that applied to my children have a lot of AA mixed in with them. They don't even know it. The 12-step program.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing. It served me very well. And it brought me back to a God of my understanding. And, I wonder if meditation doesn't do that for you. So I mean, for me, there has to be a higher power of some sort. It can't be me. I can't be the all-knowing. I don't trust this brain enough. I have to have other. Now I use a lot of humans. I run ideas through a lot of men that I respect. Do you have people that you filter ideas through?
A plethora.
Yeah. Are they all friends, or do you make sure you have those that are going to find those things that are going to challenge you to adjust? A little picky on yours.
In Toastmasters, we evaluate. And it's not that was so great, that was so great. It's,
right.
You did this well, and here's where you can improve, and I'm going to challenge you in the future to try this.
I like that.
And even when we do leadership projects like event planning, we still have people evaluating us along the way so we can learn from the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And so speaking came after that?
Throughout the
or
whole,
just throughout the whole
throughout
thing?
the whole thing.
Have you been able to have people like be a speaker in a speaking engagements as well, where people pay to come and hear you and what you bring?
Want to?
Yes. So that's the next step.
Yeah. Well, right now I went from paying to speak,
Yeah.
paying other people to allow me to speak.
Yeah.
Now I'm up to the point where I'll speak rather than paying you to sell my book.
Right.
So you let me hear,
Right.
and instead of I'll speak for free,
Right.
but you're letting me plug my book.
Absolutely. I want your book. I want your website. Now, initially, we're uploading these unedited. As we get going, I'm playing with shorts right now. Forgive me if I'm not perfect at it. So I'm learning how to play with them. I use AI.
I'm going to give you a tip. Have
Yes.
you heard of Opus Clip?
Yes.
I use that.
Yes. I use CapCut.
CapCut.
So
okay.
my son plays baseball with the Savannah Bananas, and they are all about social media.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on the Party Animals and now has just been transferred to the Texas Tailgaters. They've started another team. Anyways, they do a lot of social media, and they all, or many of them, use CapCut. And so I got to play them with it, and they'll take, Opus will as well. They'll take a long, I'll upload this, and it'll come up with 20, 30 shorts. Now, what it's not doing is the words will be a little different, and a lot of people just upload it, and I have the most recent, but I'm learning to go in and edit those words and stop the clip where I want it, where it's a clean stop, because that's the real professional, podcasts. And my goal is not to grow. I think you grow organically if you do it right. If you bring good guests in that are real and authentically raw and tell their story and have great content about, you're a local author. And more than that, you're a female local author, which gets to encourage the young people. People that come in this business, Dave hears me all the time. I'll get young people in here, and I want them thinking about a podcast, and they can use this equipment. What can you think about that you'd like to talk about? I give them parameters. There's certain things we're not talking about. We're not going to have a satanic. I'm going to keep it in the lines, but gaming and children but there's a big gap in our age group for speakers. And do you find that you will have you found a place where you can go and get booked for being a speaker?
Not on a regular basis.
Okay. Have you looked into some of the places where you get on their platform and you have a video and people can go and pick you and to be a speaker?
No, I have not found that.
Okay. I'll send you some things because I've been looking. Now, Al Emmerich is somebody that is a speaker, and he has been with Rock 105 and things of that nature, and just as a dynamic. But he's been in the business for 40 years.
I've heard his voice forever before I actually met him.
I know. Did he say that he is the Kia voice even to this day?
I know he said he was. I'm not sure if he still is.
Because I was listening today, and I was like listening. I almost thought I heard him. I can pick him out of it's the radio where you really you got to pay attention. There'll be all these different he can throw his voice, and then with all the knobs, you can't tell and everything. So do we wait for SparkleFeathers to come for the second book, or do you already have that, or is it an ever evolving book? Or
no, the second book will be out in May.
Will be out in May.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as those ideas keep coming for you, you're going to keep.
Oh, I have probably 10 or 15 ideas. In each book, in this book, SparkleFeathers helps Princess Francy overcome the fear of going to school with a scar on her face.
Oh, I got you. So there's a
multitude of issues kids go through. So the second book is going to deal with shyness. And SparkleFeathers and Princess Francy introduced this shy child to a mermaid who has a pet turtle. And the turtle comes out of
a
the
mermaid.
shell.
That's pretty funny. Do you find pushback from parents that read it? Have you had groups that have read? And I'm curious, like some would read. I guess it's each book to their own as you read them, because it teaches basic fundamentals of adaptation and dealing with the world, dealing with problems that are going to come about.
And not worrying what's on the outside, that if you are a good friend to your friends, they don't care what you look like.
That is very true.
And if they do care what you look like, they're not your friends.
There it is. Yeah, very true. Does Sparkles tell them that?
No, we're going to get to that maybe in the second book.
So this game can grow.
Oh, yeah. There's the books, and then on the website, I have 20 science videos uploaded. And you might ask, how does science build confidence? Deductive reasoning.
Yes.
Doing experiments and that sense of accomplishment when it works.
But it's really that I don't like science. I mean, I like science. I'm not good at science. Let me put it this way. I didn't put in the time to get good at it. My son is dynamic at it. But the frog and all that, they lost me after that. But what I did get was deductive reasoning. And mathematics does it as well. When you find the solution, you go back and plug it into the equation, and then you filter it out to see if you get the proper. That made perfect sense to me, even though I took Algebra 1 4 times at FSCJ. But I blame that on alcohol and cute girls.
That could do it.
Every time.
Well, my first degree is electronics.
Oh, wow.
So I am when I say I'm a sciencey person, I love it.
So my oldest is applied mathematics. So you two would just have a blast chit-chatting, and I'd be like, huh?
But see, another thing that science does, there's one video on the moon cycles, one video on water cycles, animal habitats. So it
Okay,
also...
I guess I do like science then, because I love that kind of stuff.
There you go. So it lets children know they're part of something bigger.
Yeah.
To make them realize that there's so much out there in the world that your little problem isn't as big a problem as you think it is.
So true. We just run around with gotta do. And in every business I build, I tell every one of them, Dave can attest to this, there are no emergencies. This isn't the hospital. This isn't this, this isn't that. There are no emergencies. My phone can go off, like turn off, and I can turn it back on and live life. And I love that because, and corporate doesn't allow that. They build false sense of emergencies.
True.
Here's an idea. Don't have an hour and a half meeting in the morning. Don't have an hour and a half meeting in the afternoon. Don't make 5 emails I got to answer to you. And I just saved you 2.5 hours for them to be productive.
True.
Well, yeah, I mentor.
That's so true.
I mentor.
Yes.
I mentor and coach speakers, right? So this one person waited to the last minute for me to help him with a speech for a contest. So I get an email with the video to give him feedback. And then a few hours later, I got the text, I sent you my video. And then a few hours later, I'm like, I took 12 hours off. Aren't I allowed to take 12 hours off?
Yeah, you have to protect your mental health. At one time, I was involved in 50-plus stores, and I was stretched so thin. I was very fortunate. I had a little bit of an edge on how to keep my sanity, and I was a grinder, and I just worked 16, 18 hours a day. And when corporate went away and I was able to buy the name, and I had my one little store and then now 2 stores, it's just been, and I've got some other ventures, but it's just been so relaxing for my phone not to go off all the time. But also, you have good people. I mean, he works in the retail business with me, yet here he sits as a you're a producer.
How to do a podcast?
You're a producer, actually, there, sir. So
I'll put it on the resume.
There you go.
Absolutely, because this my saying and have fun with this is dream big and work the details. Everybody wants to dream big, and there's so many people, all these grand ideas of being an author. I've talked forever about being a speaker and an author. Not for me, it's not for fame. It's really, there's a passion to help people. And I think you have to have a purpose. Al Emmerich showed us how to find the why, the value, and she has her why.
Sure.
SparkleFeathers came to her in a vision. So I didn't buy into all the, like, they say some people can be hypnotized easier than others. So I was sitting one time in a group, lights were low. I had my feet up on the chair, and this guy's talking. He had this it was an Al Limerick voice. I can't do it, but it was just this perfect voice. And he's telling a story, and he's painting this picture that there's a boat around, and I mean a lake, and the lights shining off it perfectly, and it's crystal clear. And I'm like getting into it. I'm into his voice, and he starts talking about paddling, the boat. And I literally felt my arms
Trying to paddle?
No, I was paddling. And then some people got stupid and started trying to get out of it. But I thoroughly enjoyed that, and that was my first moment in meditation. And so I went home, and I started playing around with it. I didn't read no books, you know me. I'm just going to tinker.
Sit down and do it.
There is much to be said for meditation. I've slipped away from it a little bit. If someone's wanting to get started in meditation, where would you suggest?
Well, I thought when they said, I can't meditate with all this stuff going on in my mind. Well, you're the one who needs to meditate. And
Yes.
the best way to get started for me was to find guided meditations. And I found them on YouTube. They were free. And I just plugged it in, lay down, and did what they told me to do, which is basically just relaxing.
How long do you meditate each day?
Anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Uh,
You just allow yourself to
Now-
go.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
what,
Dave.
What decides your time limit on what you're meditating?
It completely on how I feel. Completely how I feel. And sometimes when my little eye starts twitching, I know it's time to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's self-reflection and getting in tune with your body.
And good eating, I would imagine.
I don't eat any processed food at all.
How do you shop?
Oh, I'm in
then?
trouble.
Well,
It-
no, because I would love to get deeper into this, but it used to be the outside of
The store.
but now, I mean, they're spraying it with so much pesticides.
I eat 95% organic, and I found canned salmon at Aldi's for $3 a can. And
Okay.
it is so good, and I have it every day because that's where I get all my vitamin D
Right.
and all the fish oils.
Right.
So I don't need supplements because I get all my nutrients from food.
Eat a lot of fruits.
Not a lot.
Nope.
No, but I do eat wild or organic blueberries.
Right. I love blueberries.
Oh, yeah, they're my favorite. And I eat a lot of carrots. I buy 25 pounds of carrots at a time,
Wow.
organic carrots for $20. So, no, you can eat organic
Yeah.
inexpensively.
Yeah.
And people, oh, do you have horses? Do you have rabbit? No, my dogs and I eat a lot of carrots.
That's right. So no meats or anything like that?
We eat steak once a week.
Yeah.
And we eat chicken 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But
mean-
it's mostly fish.
Now, I love fish.
So do I.
Now they're gluing meat together. I mean, they're gluing it. It's ridiculous. You don't know what you're eating anymore.
No, not at all.
But there are ways to purge your body, and through a lot of holistic ways. Are you into frequencies?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like healing in frequencies and
yeah.
things of that nature.
That's part of the guided meditations.
Okay.
They all have healing frequencies in them.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. I've just started, branching out into that kind of stuff. It's pretty interesting. I mean, because our body is a walking, vibration and electricity.
That's all we are.
That's all we are, is just electricity and oxygen. I do like Dave knows, I do the cold plunges and the Gary Brecka stuff, and I do a lot of intermittent fasting, but I don't eat well. I mean, I eat okay. I eat better than I used to, but I lost 100 pounds, and I think I put some on muscle wise, but ultimately I dropped 100. I don't know, it's about 7-8 months.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
But I always had the ability to drop weight.
Did you still get in the pool the last couple of days with how cold it is?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna do it
You're
tonight.
dedicated.
The first one I happened to smoke God's green grass, and I stepped on the second step and it slipped, and I slipped in. I was like, all right, well that was one way to jump in. And so, but the other night it's amazing when you get in there, now I'm not in the ice bath. It's not 32 yet. I'm just sort of getting there, but it's cold. My body goes to a shiver. I make sure to go under to get really good and cold, but I'm doing 4 or 5 minutes. And when I get out, there's a difference.
You feel better?
It's not just that, it's the skin. We are built to rejuvenate ourselves in certain ways. I'm not trying to stay 20. I'm not going to.
Well, that it resets some gland, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but that resets some electrical flow in you.
And actually the intermittent fasting and the fasting and what it starts regenerating, it regenerates cells. And at 16 hours, they have it broken down. You can, I'm not a scientist, go look it up, but it's very, once you get to, I have not made 48 hours yet. But once I get to 48 hours, you literally start regenerating stem cells. It's fascinating what goes on with that. So are you not necessarily a vision board, but do you have your future and where you'd love to see yourself? And
I do vision boarding, but I have my own method.
Okay.
It's called the Sparkle method of vision boarding.
Okay.
And what it is, in the center, it's like a bullseye.
Right.
In the center is the big, fat, hairy goal. And then the next level is what you already know that can help you get there.
Yeah.
So the assets you already have. And then the outside one is what you still need to learn.
Yeah.
Or what you need to explore.
Mm.
And my big, fat, hairy goal, I told you about the essential oils, doTERRA. I want to get on their stage doing a keynote address during their international convention.
I love it. I did a lot of speaking. Mine was in the unfinished furniture industry, and we would have the home and patio show down in Jacksonville, and I was young, and we would do a 45-minute to an hour and 15-minute demonstration of how to finish, how to make things faster and things. And that was really the first time I got in front of people. There's nothing like engaging with somebody when you have control of an audience. And they're engaged with you and enjoying the content you're putting out. It's a rush, and I wouldn't call it a drug, but I wanted more.
It is a drug. It's dopamine. Dopamine is a drug that's naturally occurring when you have that feeling.
So if you could be a keynote speaker, yours is more business oriented, or would it be more children?
It's more personal development.
Yeah. Human dynamics, does that fall in there?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
So do you go get your degree in psychology and all that as well, or do you?
I have enough degrees.
Okay, I like that. Hey, listen, some of the wisest people I know have no degrees.
Nope.
And it's life experience. I've told all my kids, now, the applied mathematics, things of that nature, you've got to have certain fundamentals. But mine was in communications. Most degrees, I did learn to write and speak and everything at an early age. But those degrees are a piece of paper that crack open a door is all it really does. It's the life experiences that you've had and the things that you're doing on your own. And I said this recently, and then you share on this. I don't know of another time in America where we have the ability to come out of nowhere, write a book, and have the opportunity to be a keynote speaker and dream big and really have a chance to hit it. It's realistic.
Especially for women.
Yeah. In today's world, because it's accepted. I don't see a big push. Even in Clay County, I don't feel a big push on that. But, I'm a Caucasian white guy, so how would I feel a push? Have you hit doors, and without getting too deep, unless you want to, have you hit doors in Clay County trying to advance those ideas?
Not these ideas.
Gotcha.
Not these ideas, because I speak to parents now. You know, I tell stories to kids, and my books are geared to kids, but who's got the dough to pay for it?
Right.
So I speak to the parents.
Right.
And
So you get to the end consumer, so they can't really mess it up.
yeah. So what parent doesn't want to make their child's life easier?
Right.
And I keep hearing from the parents that what I'm doing is needed. So that's the motivation I have.
I love it. What about those that don't want it?
Then they're not my audience.
Yeah.
And that's part of being comfortable in my own skin, to know that any pushback I get means they're just not ready for me.
Yeah.
But they are.
Yeah. And it's just finding the they.
Exactly.
You feel like you have that targeted down pretty good?
I'm finding new ones every day, people
Yeah.
who I never thought would.
Yeah, this will touch somebody.
Mm-hmm.
As this thing grows, you know, 70, it's funny, 70, 80, 90 visitors. I don't care how many view, because the right one will view.
Exactly.
It always will.
One meditation I got said, because I used to write every word and edit and rewrite
Right.
and memorize. And I was told to stop doing that in
Yep.
this meditation, because you will know what you need to say to reach the one person who needs to hear what you're saying. And that's how I do it now. When I sit down in front of an audience like this, or when I'm in an audience of 100 or 200 people, I just feel what I need to say, and there's at least one person in every audience that says, thank you, I really needed to hear that.
Do we have a female-based circuit for local females to speak?
Not that I know of.
There's something right there. There's a gap right there. I like gaps. Because
You
gaps
like
mean
to fill the gap.
I like to fill the gaps. That means, listen, you have a little market. It can't be in here necessarily, but we go find a place. We rent a place. We find the right, and we would, matter of fact, we could do it on here where we could literally have them do a 10-minute, a 5-minute, pitch.
True.
And have the audiences vote on it. I don't know.
I mean,
Let that.
I just noticed the time.
Yeah.
Remember I told you that Monday night at 7 there's a meeting you could go to?
Yeah.
I got to get to that meeting.
Okay. Well, we're going to end this. This was a great opportunity for me to get to know you, for the listeners to get to know you. Thank you so much for your time. We want you back, because
Yes.
I want SparkleFeathers back next.
When I get that doll, I will be
Okay.
here.
And I want what you wear. Well, I want what you read your book in.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
your dress. I want the whole outfit.
Princess
Okay.
Francy will bring her.
You've heard it here.
SparkleFeathers.
Okay. If you could leave everybody with one word, it doesn't have to be wisdom, just thoughts, because I like the moment just when it hits you. What would it be?
Sparkle and have fun.
I like that. Vintage, I almost said vintage one. That's not. All about the grind. Thank y'all so much for watching. It'll be uploaded Tuesday. See you next week. Jamie Ellis and Greg Ellis. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank
That
you.
was fun.